So I am back with a video about talcum powder causing cancer. And my question is, why did they wait so long? Why? Why did they wait so long to put all of this out? And if you look at this video here of these two men talking about it, it's sad. I would almost believe that there are certain groups that are targeted, and it's usually if you're in a low income or you're poor or you're in communities that are densely populated, it's Black, Latino, um, Asian, people who are poor whites that are in urban areas. And you grow up with these beliefs from your parents, great grandparents, grandparents, people, family members, about hygiene. And how many people have seen Johnson and Johnson in their house as they were growing up? I bet a lot of people have seen it. Even family members use Johnson and Johnson baby products, and they're told that this, you take a bath, you clean yourself, there's layers, you've got lotion, and you can put talc powder on you, and it makes you smell fresh, you smell good, it's safe to use. And it's so sad because you're finding out that after years of use of these products, they have certain things in it that and death. And so I took the time out to look right here. Um, this is a type of a cancer. It's called mesothelioma, and it has here a tumor or a tumor of the tissue that lines the lungs, the stomach, the heart, and other organs. There are also symptoms that go along with it. So you have pain areas, which are called, these are what some people would experience. It requires medical diagnoses, so it could be a cough, chest pain, shortness of breath, or some symptoms, pain in the areas like the chest or the ribs, the whole body fatigue, loss of appetite or night sweats, gastrointestinal problems like bloating and nausea. Also common is coughing, shortness of breath, and weight loss. And so you have to consult your physician or get medical advice. And so this is pretty serious. Pretty serious. That's just one form right there. But I thought this was really something, what these guys were sitting here saying, and they were admittedly saying this is like a 7-minute video, but this video is about talcum powder cancer risk that sends Johnson and Johnson back to court. Now, I've been hearing a lot of stuff about Johnson and Johnson being sued by people who have actually contracted um, uh, cancer through their product. And it has caused a lot of damage in lives of people who didn't really unsuspectedly didn't know that it was potentially life-threatening. And so I'm just going to play the video, but it's just really disturbing because these two men actually bring out the fact that these companies are geared towards promoting these products in neighborhoods where, guess who lives there? Blacks, Latinos, people who are poor, and all the other rest of anybody else, no matter what nationality, if you're in that income bracket and you're figuring, you don't have a lot of money, so you have enough money, I guess, to just feed your family and just get by. And so you just try to make ends meet. And then, you see all these little simple products and you think, oh, it's inexpensive. I'll get this. And, I'll send my kids to school. I use it when my kids were babies. How many people have used these products on babies? That's alarming. So anyway, enough said. I'm going to play this video, and it's very disturbing because it goes into detail about a woman who died at the age of 30 years old after using Johnson and Johnson baby powder for many years. And unexpectedly, she probably thought, "Oh, it's safe." And who has thought that? The least of your worries, you wouldn't be looking at a bottle of baby powder thinking that it's going to kill you, or you could end up, creating a slow death. It's the least of your worries out of all the other things you could be concerned about. But yeah, we've got to really be looking at the products that come into the neighborhoods. I not so long ago, and this I see a lot of. I was looking at a woman and she was doing a video, and I thought it was an excellent video, actually. She did a video about hair care products. And I already knew this because I heard a woman telling how she used dyes. And like in the Los Angeles area, there's a lot of beauty supply shops and a lot of, they sell a lot of hair products that are usually that cater to African American and Latino women or people. And so the hair care products too, specifically that are catered to African American women, are like relaxers and certain things that women like to put on their hair to alter the appearance of their hair so it can look straight. And a lot of that is chemical that you're putting in your body. And it goes to the brain, it goes through those pores, and it goes all into the skin. And after so many years, if it's dye, if it's relaxers, if it's, sometimes you got to watch some of the conditioners and shampoos, what kinds of things are in them. And so you'll find people, some of them I've noticed will be reading, okay, what's in this, what's in that. And so you don't know what is in these products, and they dump them right in the communities that are most vulnerable, such as Johnson and Johnson baby powder, and that's all over the place. I believe it still sells, even in like, we have like Dollar Tree, like little local 99-cent stores, and who wouldn't buy? You think, oh, I don't use it every day. It's not going to kill me. I guess it's less of the evils if you're not using it as much, but it sounds like I've seen some people use it regular under their armpits, like after they get out of the shower or if they're going to an event. But this video pretty much hits home to what is going on. It's not only what's in the grocery stores, but what are you putting on your body, on your skin and your hair, and, even what are you brushing your teeth with? So this right here is talking about talcum powder. I've seen people use this throughout my lifetime. So here it goes.
Their lawsuit from a woman who developed cancer after years of using Johnson and Johnson baby powder. This story just continues getting crazier. The last verdict that was taking place was in New Jersey. I believe so, yes. And they come back with a multi-million-dollar verdict against Johnson & Johnson. The interesting thing about it is Johnson & Johnson has lied and told the American public, we don't have asbestos in our baby powder. And now the lawyers that are trying these cases, not only are they showing the jury, here's the asbestos fiber. They do this, they bring in scientists, they do a scope the material, and they're able to show the asbestos fiber right there. Amosite, chrysotile asbestos, it's right there. And so years and years, the company's been saying, oh, you don't have to worry about asbestos. Now women are dying from cervical cancer because they use this Johnson & Johnson baby powder their entire lifetime. And they're dying from mesothelioma.
Right. And this woman in this particular lawsuit that began on Monday of this week, she died from very rare form of cancer. They said at age 30.
Yeah.
Cancers that usually take
mesothelioma takes 34 years.
Yeah. But she had used baby powder all her life. So she's dead at age 30 because of Johnson & Johnson. And what's interesting about this case too And at first I didn't agree with it, but the more I remembered about this case, because you and I have spoken about this, we've seen the documents.
You wrote an article.
But they brought in another one of the defendants is Rite Aid, the pharmacy.
Right.
And so at first I thought, well, you can't necessarily hold them accountable for it. But then I remembered the marketing materials. Johnson & Johnson worked with the pharmacies to create these big display ads. The pharmacies were complicit with it to make sure that they push this talcum powder, especially in low-income communities. They would go to areas with higher populations of African-American and Hispanic women and market it to them.
That's their major marketing source. It's a cultural issue. A lot of these children grow up with a parent putting baby powder all over them, and they're told, well, you got to do this all your life. This will make you smell better. And this is good hygiene. And they're told there's no harm in that. And the whole time that they were doing that with Johnson & Johnson talc powder, it had asbestos in it. I mean, look, where do they get the talc? They get it out of mines. They've looked at the mines where they get the talc. There's asbestos all over the talc mines. And so all of a sudden, it's another deal where Johnson & Johnson keeps telling this lie. And they've been hit for 78 million, 75 million, 117 million.
Right. What has it been? 5 verdicts so far and hundreds of millions in total that they've paid out because they've lost every single case because they're lying.
And what tells you that is those are different juries. You see, those are different juries that hear the facts. They see the documents. They see the fiber. They see the fiber. There it is, right on the microphone.
Because that's another thing people have to understand. They are literally taking the fibers out of these cancer tumors.
Yes,
and they can examine it and say this.
They found it in the tumor.
Right. It stays in there.
Yes. And they also find it actually in the powder. Well, I got to tell you, we're used to that. We're used to these denials that we see from these companies all the time, but it always ends badly. This is a big problem. Johnson & Johnson better figure out how to deal with this because their stock is going to start crashing. Case being tried in South Carolina right now. If he comes back with another one, and then a friend of mine's trying another one down in East St. Louis, I think in June or July, this snowballs. The problem is you got defense firms that are telling them, oh, we can win. Yeah. Well, the defense firms are being paid a gazillion. These defense firms, no exaggeration, are being paid $7 to $10 million every time they go to trial. So they don't have any reason to tell Johnson & Johnson, you got a runaway train here, buddy. You better deal with this. Because they're silk stocking law firms, they're in towers, 50, 60-story towers that they own, filled up with, uptight right-wing silk stocking corporate defense firms. And so they're telling the company, we think we can win. Well, I think the votes are in right now. The company was hired to provide intelligence on the Dakota Access Pipeline protesters is trying to weasel their way out of a lawsuit that accuses them of operating without a license in North Dakota. You found this story. I did a segment on it with Ed Schultz the other night. Tell me, what's your take on this case?
What's so fun about this is that Tiger Swan is basically, they're a private mercenary company, not unlike Blackwater. Most of their contracts are for work over in the Middle East, mercenary work, security work, allegedly. But so you had Energy Transfer Partners, owner of Dakota Access Pipeline, who hired them from North Carolina to go find everything you can out about these protesters. Help us with intimidation, help us with, background checks. If one of them has a criminal record, we can use that against them. So every day while this Tiger Swan was hired by ETF, they would send their little drones or whatever to take photos of the encampments. They would put together daily intelligence briefings for ETF. And now that they're being accused of operating illegally in North Carolina, their defense is, we never went to North Dakota. We never went there. So we can't be accused of operating there because we did all our stuff from back here. But there's photos The Intercept has that shows you were in North Dakota.
Intercept did a wonderful story, as usual.
Yeah.
Intercept did it again. They're a great source of real information. Corporate media hates The Intercept because Intercept tells stories that corporate media can't tell.
Right.
But on this particular situation, they also did a great background on Tiger on this company.
Yeah.
And it's Blackwater. Basically, they're corporate mercenaries hired by the government. This is what's so interesting. Initially hired by the government to push back on terrorism, to do counterterrorism work. Now, that's not just, that's just not surveillance. That's hands-on spook work that this company. Here they are on American soil, using those same techniques with American citizens that are out there protesting, saying we don't want your damn pipeline on our property.
And they admitted in the documents that the Intercept got that they are treating these people like terrorists. They said they're on this jihad. They're akin to ISIS, people who didn't want this pipeline going through sacred Native American lands and poisoning aquifers.
Okay, so it went off into the the Dakota pipeline, of course, but that was kind of good information. I was listening to it myself, which I kind of already knew because they even do that outside of the Johnson and Johnson situation. That's a separate issue. They like, I feel like what they're saying, they do the same thing with guys when the police, they shoot someone, they if they, well, to say it mildly, some people, so if they mistakenly shoot someone, I feel they intentionally shoot them. When they intentionally shoot someone and they have to clean up their story, a lot of times what they'll do is they'll try to figure out how to talk their way out of it so they can get exonerated. So they start digging into the past of that person they shot to see if they can find some kind of criminal history or background so that it'll validate why or justify why they shot the person. Oh yeah, see that person, they have criminal history or they're a drug addict and this, that, and the other. And that's the reason why they end up, using that to try to get off from responsibility of having murdered somebody. But these are whole separate issues. But I believe, I don't know how this got into it, but they did talk about the talcum powder cancer risk. And what was alarming is how Johnson and Johnson, what they'll do is they'll continue to lie to people. And I thought what was interesting, these two guys brought out, is that they usually target neighborhoods where there's a larger percentage, which are their biggest customers. And so they had to do the numbers. They had to do the stats on the numbers of customers that buy the product the most. So it tends to be Black and Latino communities that tend to buy the Johnson & Johnson baby powder the most, from what they're saying, because that's where their biggest amount of money comes in or revenue comes in at. And so that's the reason why they'll do a big display. I don't see that many commercials anymore like it used to be. I guess maybe because there's been people that have been suing Johnson and Johnson for not telling the truth about what is in the baby powder or the talcum powder, and that it has asbestos. And so, like they were saying earlier on in the video, they said even when they look at the tumors, they can find asbestos and take the fibers out of the tumor. And they use that in court as evidence that these people are not making it up, that you have many people that are contracting the cancers and the mesothelioma. And so, like I told you, that is, you can see it pictured here to my right, is a tumor of tissue that lines the lungs and the stomach and the heart and the organs. So how many people have used over the years? Why did they wait so long? That's my question. Why did they wait so long? And I feel like that people who are most vulnerable are people who don't make a lot of money, or they figure you don't know enough, you won't read, and you won't research this information out. And so they figure, oh, we'll just dump everything in their neighborhood. It's the same thing like when there were in Los Angeles, there was these protest people who wanted a lot of the liquor stores taken off of every corner, because it seemed like on every corner, you didn't have to drive not even half a mile, and there was a liquor store at every corner, as there was a church at every on every block. It seemed like there was a liquor store that followed. And so you would have those liquor stores in the places where there's a population of Blacks and Latino people. And you still kind of see it. You still kind of see it. It's just now they're not as, how would I say it? They're not as direct in your face like it used to be. Now, there used to be billboards that they would say little things in the languages of whatever that person's nationality was to target those groups of people so that you would go and buy that product. And if it was, a beer ad, or if it was a liquor ad, or if it was about cigarettes, whatever it is, that age group or that nationality that usually they feel will be their biggest customer for that product, they would target those particular neighborhoods. And so it's the same thing with this talcum powder and all these other products. It's like a dumping ground for all of these things. And so, you know, a while back, a woman did a video about all these other issues that had really, I'm not saying that it won't happen. I'm not surprised what happens nowadays, but I'm thinking that, before any other huge events happen, look at the little things that are just within our communities that, people unsuspectingly or unknowingly, innocently, you go in the store and purchase it, could cause your death or could be a contributor as to why you have health issues. And so some of these things are deliberate. I believe most of it, really, to be honest, I believe most of it is. And so I will add in here, not only the Johnson and Johnson product can be dangerous, but there are other products that are put in the neighborhoods like this that target groups of people. And it feels like it's a war. That's part of the war on poor people, and the war on minority people is to target those groups. And it's about the money. These companies are more concerned about their money than they are the health and the lives of these people. And so it's sort of like a silent war where people are not really, you're too busy looking at, your videos and thinking about cars and thinking about your hair and who shot whom and who got married to who got divorced, and the meteor falling out of the sky and stuff like that, and the air quality, which is, sometimes that's a factor in and of itself. But I'm saying it's like there's things that are in our community, like little things you wouldn't even believe, products that you purchase every day that you trust, that could be contributing to your health issues. And who would have known? Johnson and Johnson all these years. So with that being said, I just thought this was interesting. I know some people have heard about it already, but it's crazy. And haven't you seen those commercials where they used to have, I don't see as many of them as I used to, but they would have these medicines that would come on, you'd see the medicines. And then after, they say this clears your eyes up or this clears your nose up. And then underneath, there's this fine print that's kind of forewarning you, but it's not big enough for you to see. And then the words are so complicated, you don't really understand it until you hear about a lawsuit. And then shortly thereafter, you'll see something like this. Well, if you've used Johnson and Johnson baby talcum powder, there's a class action lawsuit, and it has caused mesothelioma, blah, 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 and, ovarian cancer or whatever. And so this is the kind of stuff that I don't think people really pay attention to very much, because there's so many other things out there that people are not, they're not considering this to be, an issue. But how many of us have this product in our house, even this day, right now, can find it? Some will say, I never used that. Somebody has used it at some point, because there was a time where Johnson and Johnson baby powder was like all over the TV. They had all kind of commercials. And so you didn't think that this was going to hurt you. So this is my point. This is what I'm saying. There's things that you wouldn't even believe that are out there that can be just as dangerous and deadly than, what you're breathing in the air, that you are in actually willingly, you're purchasing it. And then you're either putting it on your skin, putting it in your hair, or you're rubbing it on your skin, or you're bathing in it, or you're putting it under your armpits thinking, oh, this makes me smell good. It could be in your soap. It could be in your, in your medicine cabinet. With that being said, like, comment, subscribe, and thanks for listening.